Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Between Two Flags. I'm here with my great friend, Tim Stroud. Tim is an Army combat medic. He has deployments to both Kosovo and Iraq, and he is the co-founder of Impact to Heroes Veterans Voice Toastmasters. And we're going to talk about some good stuff. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Man, appreciate it. I know it's been a while. We were trying to get all the dates coordinated and find the time, so I'm like, yes. Finally, today's the day.
I did not introduce Colton, but Colton is down here kind of half asleep. This is Colton the Wonder Dog, and everybody loves him, so if he pops up in a little bit, you'll know what's going on.
He's in rug mode right now. We've been traveling a lot, so he's like, whew, I'm right next to Uncle Mike, and he's comfortable, he's out.
Yeah, no, until he crawls up in one of our laps. That happens.
It's usually yours.
Yeah, that's funny. So one of the reasons why it's so important for us to have you here and to capture part of your story on Between Two Flags is all the great work that you are doing to help support veterans and veteran service organizations. But can you tell us how that ever even started, going from a medic in the Army to now giving so much of your time, talent, resources, treasure to help support veterans? How and why?
A lot of it ties back to my mentor. When I was deployed to Iraq, I knew what I knew, and I was going to transition very quickly. I was stop lost, and for those who aren't familiar with it, that means your contract's up with the Army, but they're going to extend it, so nice for me, so I could go to the beach, right? And I talked to Paul and said, I want to bring all 156 of my guys back safely. And he's like, let's set a goal. So he taught me goal setting, and he had this in his garage. He had a 3-car garage that was built onto the house. Then he had a 32-car garage, two 16-car garages, all with 1956 cars in there. It was crazy, just gorgeous, all restored back to the original condition. I think that was the first year that the VA came out, so I'll have to fact check that one. But he got me loving books, and he taught me my 5, which I'm sure you've talked about before. Yeah. And so he just got me on that path and start connecting. The first speech I gave professionally when I got out of the military was to his wife's book reading club. And it was just amazing because they were just donating money, connecting things. And that's how it all started for me.
So I know who Paul J. Meyer is. A lot of people who read books and are in the personal and professional development space are, but maybe some of our listeners don't know Paul J. Meyer from Tony Robbins or anybody else who may have written a book or have it up on our shelf. Can you tell us or tell our audience a little bit about Paul J. Meyer, who he is, what he's done, why he's so important?
Absolutely. Well, we were talking about right before the show about Earl Nightingale and Zig Ziglar and also Napoleon Hill. Well, Paul trained with these guys, and he either learned valuable lessons from them or he purchased part of their story and relicensed it and put it into a format where people could absorb it. A book like this, to you and I, quick read, right? I mean, most of us can read it in a week. Sometimes people, they look at that like, I'm not touching that, it's just way too long. So he would break it down Barney style, put it into a pamphlet. That way people would read it and would be a precursor. So he had those, and he co-wrote 13 books with, oh my goodness, Ken Blanchard. And that's where I got my advanced degree, my master's in servant leadership back in the day. And it was great. So he taught me that lifelong love of education and moving forward. And that's what he did. He started a company called Success Motivation International, and it truly was international. He would sell more goal setting and motivational and inspirational CDs, MP3s, and the programs overseas than he would here in the States. And I was like, we got to change that.
Yeah.
So he brought that back to the military, and that's what we used.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now you have you're doing a couple of things that really connect with me. First of all, what you're doing to help veterans, and then your passion for being a lifelong learner of reading, learning, and growing. And as you know, Impact to Hero, what we're trying to teach is post-traumatic growth. And it's this idea that our challenges and our struggles are just opportunities for us to learn how to overcome them and become an even better version of ourselves and inspire and encourage others with our story. What does post-traumatic growth look like in your life?
Whew, how much time do we have? Man, one of the things that impacted me when I got out were my finances. Thought I had a handle on them, but I quickly learned that I knew that my family did not come from money. And so I knew that if my family was going to be wealthy, it needed to come from me. And Paul taught me the steps, and he was a billionaire when I met him, and when he passed away, he left an estate probably between $2.3 and $2.5 billion.
Wow.
So even though he used to jump out of perfectly good airplanes in the Army, this is definitely somebody you wanted to listen to.
So there's hope for me.
Exactly. You guys shared the same MOS.
That's great.
And he just did it 50 years earlier. And he showed me how patience and persistence, and you had to have the dogged discipline to move forward and to do the things that most people won't. And it's the basics, and you have to fill your head and just get your body excited about it, because it's like when you're dating somebody that's new, or you get into the book that's like, man, that's so awesome. And part of it's the book, but part of it is you internally, because when you're dating that person and you look at your phone, your body gets dumped with dopamine because it's still new, and the adrenaline kicks in, and you got all these chemicals going in your body. You get excited. He's like, you have to do that. He's like, if I have to motivate you to work out every day or to save and to do these things, he's like, you're going to quickly fail.
Oh man, I totally agree. You know, the Army has a definition of leadership that I had to memorize for my promotion to sergeant in that board, and I still got it. It's, you know, the Army defines leadership as the process of influencing others by providing purpose, direction, and motivation while operating to accomplish the mission and improving the organization. Sergeant Major. And I had to give that answer, and they looked at me and they're like, all right, well, clearly you memorized the answer. What do you really think, you know, leadership is? And kind of caught me by surprise. And I responded with a little bit of I don't know, I didn't quite get anecdotal, but I said, I love the providing purpose and direction, but I believe if I have to provide motivation to someone, that I don't know that that's really leadership. I believe it's a leader's responsibility to provide inspiration.
I agree, right.
You know, but I believe motivation comes from within. I can be the most inspiring leader that person has ever experienced, but if they just really do not want to do something, I can't really motivate them. And we actually got in an argument with the first sergeant who asked the question, you know, disagreeing. It is your job as a leader to provide motivation.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I got civilian on me. Yeah, that's probably what he did. But I absolutely believe that that motivation really comes internally, that we have to find a way to get ourselves fired up, but we can get inspired all day long.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
One of the things he taught me, and I was talking about the finances, and he said, Tim, if you want to learn more, surround yourself with your 5. And then he asked me what I was worth, and so we calculated that, and he asked me how much extra money I had at the end of the month.
Extra money?
Extra money. And my sister loves this because she lives on the term extra money. When I have extra money, I'm going to go to Germany. I have extra money. I was like, okay, great. And he asked me how much extra money I have at the end of the month. Well, when I was ending my career with the military, transitioning out, I was moonlighting as a limo driver in Killeen, Texas. And if you want to get paid all the big tips, you drive near Fort Hood, Texas, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. And so I said I was making between $400 and $600 a month extra on
That's solid.
Not bad. And I said, Paul, I have an extra $500 at the end of the month. And he said, that, Tim, is why you'll always be broke. And I was like, man, this is my mentor. I spent more time with him than I did my father, because my father was killed in the line of duty when I was 5 years old. So I spent almost 7.5 years with Paul. He said, I'm always going to be broke. And he said, Tim, you have to line item your family and run everything like a company. He's like, I know where every dollar goes. And he was making about $250,000 a week.
So he had no extra money. But you're like, I got an extra $500.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I'm rolling. And I was like, dadgummit. But one of the other things that he taught me was really important. I still do it today. Mm-hmm. He's like, Tim, would you ever like to write a book? And I was like, yes, I would. He's like, you need to start reading these books. He said, mine included. And you need to do 2 things. Be the co-author of the book. He's like, you have to write. You have to underline the things, the passages that you like. He's like, even if it's a Bible, you can write in it. And he said, you need to write in the notes 2 things in the ledger. What was really important to you, and what did it make you think? Did it go off on a tangent? We call it tangenticizing.
Tangenticizing, yes.
There's something in there, it's like, you need to write that down and put it in there, dog-ear it, and come back to it, because now you're a co-author of that book. You've got an emotional connection to that book. Otherwise, you just read it. and you're never going to pick it back up. You'll forget at least 80% of it. Would you agree?
I don't know absolutely. I don't know who said it, so I'm going to take credit.
Benjamin Franklin.
I'll tweak it a little bit, but somebody told me, don't read to be finished. You need to read to learn or to change. And so I'm kind of that's don't read to be finished, read to be changed. Mike Nash. That's kind of what it's going to be from now on.
Start quoting yourself.
Yeah, I'll start quoting myself, and you can too. And then it'll catch on. So that's exactly what I feel. I had this goal a few years ago. Like, man, I really want to read more. Let me set a goal, a book a month. I really want to hit that 12 for the year. And I found myself at the end of the year trying to get through the books really quick because I was behind my goal.
Yeah.
And I was reminded of, I don't know who said that before, but don't read to finish. Read to be changed. Read to learn. Read to grow. And I had, okay, not that I don't like reading faster, but what was the purpose for me reading? Was it to be done? Hey, look how many books I finished this year. No, that's not it. So I couldn't agree with you more that be involved, soak that up, underline it, be a part of that experience, and it will help you because it's so easy for us to be thinking about something else while we're actually still reading the words. Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a way to make it an active learning instead of a little more
it's like
passive
anything
learning.
else, like this interview, or if you're on a date somewhere or you're in an important meeting, be where you are. And man, that's an important lesson for me because my brain is going pow, pow, pow. And so I could do this. Nope. I need to focus while I'm here. And that's the other thing that Paul taught me. You can have the incandescent lighting just like this one up here that lights up the whole room, or you can take the same power that goes through that light bulb, harness it and focus it into a laser and cut through steel. Well, they both have their purposes, but you cut through steel with that same energy, you're doing something, right? Yeah.
I've heard a similar saying. I think it was talking about Michelangelo, and people saying it's like he kind of, because he was so good at so many things and spread his energy on so many, like he wasn't that great of an artist.
Right.
Like still one of the best ever.
Right.
But imagine if he would put all of his energy in just being the best artist that he could, how great that would have been. But then we would have been, it's a horrible analogy because we've so many other inventions and other stuff going on. But the point was that we're not Michelangelos. We're not that amazing, at least most of us. Or I guess that was a Leonardo, actually.
Da Vinci is what you're
Da Vinci is what I'm thinking of.
Because,
But that was the point there is that many of us are not geniuses. They don't have that type of stuff. So we really need to harness and focus. And if we do that, we still can be really great at things. And I'm a big fan of the 10,000 hour lesson, but yeah.
And that's why I love the library that Impact a Hero has put out there because, man, there's a book here for just about anyone that they can start through that process and just take that step. It doesn't matter if they're going to read 5 pages or 10 pages a day. They can work through some of these novels and really get some stuff going on very quickly.
Yeah, if I had only read one book and you asked me for a book recommendation,
what would it be? If you're going to recommend to somebody that's watching this right now, you got 2 books. Obviously, it matters where they are, but I mean, what are you going to recommend?
Prescription before diagnosis is malpractice.
Malpractice, I got you.
Prescription before diagnosis is malpractice, and that's why that's. You got a headache? Here's some penicillin. No, it doesn't work. It's
I'm allergic. Yeah.
That's not the way that the recommendations. But I will kind of give an answer anyway.
Okay.
It would definitely be something on how to think, on the thinking. Think and Grow Rich is one of my absolute favorites of all time. But there are books that will challenge you the way that you think, as opposed to reading the same type of things that just kind of keep you on the same path. But I don't know. Was I going somewhere with that?
Yeah, you were going to recommend a couple books where.
But I only read one.
Okay.
That's right. So it's like if all you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail.
Bam, bam, bam.
So I've got one recommendation. So the more that I read, the more that I'm able to help make those recommendations, and that's the whole point for the prescription before diagnosis. If you think your problem is financial or something, like, oh hey, you definitely need rich dad poor dad, but what really is going on is relationships. Oh man, you definitely need to grab the 5 love languages. Maybe it's both.
Yeah, it really is. And here's the problem that we have in the United States. And a lot of people are like, oh, veterans need this and veterans need that. We're no different than anyone else. The finance problem is not a veteran's problem. The relationship problem, divorce is not a veteran's problem. I think being a veteran or serving in the military is about a 20% indicator of who you are. If you were a jerk going into the military, yeah, you might be a jerk coming out. Or your percentages may go up or down. But the problem is that when we get out, we get into reaction mode instead of being responsive. And we fall into the same category as most Americans, and then we watch anywhere from 4.2 to 4.8 hours of TV a day. Isn't that ridiculous? I don't watch that a week. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, I think I turned my TV off in 2012, 2013.
Another cost that we work through when we go through finances with our veterans through the classes. And my goal is just to get them back into a lifelong love of learning, whether it's the finances, the relationships, or connecting. I love teaching classes on all of those. And people are like, hey, which class should I go to? Yes. Well, let's start. So where are you at? Let's start and let's move forward. And that's why I gotta say, I was just talking with someone this morning, and we're working on some grants for some veteran service organizations of connecting veterans with jobs and resources, whether it's mental health or just activities across the state. And they were asking me, where should we start? And I said, well, we should start in Houston. They're looking for 4 other locations. And I said, why Houston? This community has really come together. We're not perfect, but we Frankensteined a lot of stuff together, and it's really starting to work instead of stumbling along. And we got a pretty good job going on here in Houston.
It's a great place for veterans.
No, that's Fort Hood.
It's the great place. This is a great place. Yeah, no, you're right. Craig, yeah. Well, one of the other reasons that it was so important for us to have you here is because we want to let everybody know that you have been chosen as one of the 2019 Impact to Hero Hall of Fame inductees.
I'm excited and I'm honored because I've seen your past recipients, and thank you. And I've seen the amazing things that they do in the community, and you've really picked a lot of men and women that did a lot of stuff in the military and that are serving the communities now. And I think I fill that role a little bit where I did this much in the military. I would like to think I've done this much since then, because as I was transitioning out of the military, I really learned my purpose on what my role was, and it was the connector guy.
I feel the exact same way. I feel that in many ways I thought I kind of underachieved in with my military career, but I believe that I have so much more potential influence as a veteran than I ever did as a non-commissioned officer.
Okay.
As a platoon sergeant or a first sergeant, I've got 30 or 40 knuckleheads that I'm in charge of, right? And I have lots of influence over them on their quality of life. But as a veteran, as a host of a show where I'm interviewing veterans that are doing great things and trying to provide feedback as a coach and as a mentor, I can influence hundreds, if not thousands, and I don't take that responsibility very lightly. It's quite an honor, and that is one of the reasons that you were chosen to be in our Hall of Fame. It's did you have a successful military career? Absolutely, but what are you doing now to make a difference? And Impact to Hero's vision or mission or goal is to make a difference in the lives of veterans and their families, and you're doing that, and I'm excited to hear more about your story.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. I don't know how much time we have left, but I have to say, as I travel around the country and teach certain classes, man, it just gets me right here, Mike. The last 2 retreats that I was teaching at, 2 retreats ago, 100% of the spouses that were there, they were the caregivers for their military counterpart. Every one of their spouses had cancer. The last retreat, every one of them was an amputee, single, double, or triple. And we were talking about their road to recovery and what they're doing to move forward. Just got goosebumps, man. I love what we do as a community, and we help each other take strides for. I mean, you look at JP Lane and the things that he's done, double leg amputation, one above the knee, one below, and the others that have gone to your retreats. And I see them, and every day that I want to slack off and not go to the gym and not work out, I think about JP Lane when I saw him going up the stairs, and I'm like, son of a gun. I didn't say son of a gun either, though. My inner drill sergeant comes out and it's like, you better move. And if JP can do this, and I see pictures of him and his wife in the gym, I was like, man, if they can do it, I know I can do it. And there may come a time, and I'm sure there will be, that I'm not as mobile as I am today. And I owe it to myself, but I use their stories to help motivate me.
I do the same. I got a couple of friends that, are paralyzed and in wheelchairs, and you can't complain about your feet hurting after a run, to something like that. They're like, what I wouldn't give for my feet to hurt right now, or to get up and go do a run. I'm like, oh man. And it changes that mindset.
Yeah, it really does.
And that's it. And anyway, that is where I was going with the book recommendation, was mindset. I couldn't think about what it was.
And now I finally got it. I like it.
That's exactly what happened. So I would love to have you back again, and we could talk about some other things, but and love to have Colton back as well. But thank you so much for joining us on Between Two Flags. And until next time, I hope everybody chooses growth. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye-bye.